Welcome to Bad Dog Agility, a podcast helping you reach all of your dog agility goals. Whether it's competing under the bright lights of the televised finals at Westminster or successfully navigating a homemade course in your own backyard, we'll bring you training tips, interviews, and news about the great sport of dog agility. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
The show starts with your hosts, Jennifer, Esteban, and Sarah.
I'm Jennifer.
I'm Esteban, and this is episode 321. Today's podcast is brought to you by hititboard.com and the new Teeter Teach It, an easy-to-use tool that controls the amount of tip on your teeter so you can introduce motion to your dog in a gradual way. Go to hititboard.com for the new Teeter Teach It and other training tools and toys. Use discount code BDA10 to get 10% off your order. That's hititboard.com.
Today, we are wrapping up on the 2023 AKC Agility Nationals that were just held in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we have two very special guests with us today. We have Emily Klarman, the winner of the 16-inch class with her Border Collie Vanish.
Thank you, Jen. We're very excited to be here and talk with you today.
And we're also joined by Perry DeWitt, the winner of the 20-inch class with her Border Collie Wit.
Hi, everybody.
All right, so it's been a week since your win. How are you still feeling? Like, are you still on a super high? Has it come down? Has it hit you yet? That you guys are now the national champions. You have an NAC in front of your dog's name. How are you feeling?
Well, I guess I should just be honest because I'm not good at not being honest. And mine was a little bit different for me than usual because I lost a dog at home. So it's kind of been like a whirlwind of emotions. And truthfully, I don't know that it's totally hit me yet. I think it's starting to, and it's starting to feel really cool. But it was kind of like a survival thing that day. And I'm very, I would say, proud of my dog for like being there and like it felt like he kind of rose to the occasion and carried us, which was cool because I don't always feel that way with that dog. And it was like I don't know, I guess long story short, it's just maybe hitting me now because it's been a very emotional week and really month. But so that's my answer. It's a weird one for me. Yeah, it's hard to compare to that because being next to Perry's side for a lot of the national events and knowing that, Goose wasn't doing well, like I saw that from the outside and Perry's going to say that what really rose to the occasion, but it takes a special person like Perry to gut through all of that and be able to, do what she did with all that was on your mind. Like it's inspiring, like it really is. And not everybody can do that. But from my experience, it was my first AKC Nationals in a long time. And it's a venue I don't do often, but I would say in the past couple of years, it's really turned into my primary venue, especially with ISD becoming more popular and having access to that. And, nationals and all of the teams that we're trying to do, it's given us more AKC opportunity. And so I decided last year, after not watching, I was like, I need to be there. I have a special dog right now that I know can take me good places, and she needed to be there, and I needed to experience that with her. And it felt like, going back to when I ran my first agility dog, my novice A dog, we went to AKC Nationals, and that was like a huge goal for us from teaching him from the bottom up for the first time to make it to nationals was a huge goal, and we were able to do it. And then I didn't go back with him a second time, but to go with Vanish again with kind of like a different perspective 10 years later was a neat experience. And I was happy to do that with Vanish. You kicked butt.
It was fun. So Emily, you mentioned this was your first AKC Nationals in a while. So based on the history that you just gave us, safe to assume this is your first AKC Nationals national championship win, correct?
Oh, yes.
So Vanish's first time, and you show up and you win the whole darn thing.
Yeah.
That's quite impressive.
Yeah, it was Vanish's first time, and it was my first time in finals, too. When I went with my first Border Collie, he was fast enough to make finals, but you really needed to run all of those rounds clean. And the first round, I think we had a bar or something minor that just like the rest of it was kind of set out. And I think that's what kind of discouraged me from coming back, all those years before. But this time around, I knew what I needed to do. It was just doing it. And I have a dog that's special and talented enough to be able to do it with me. And if I just tell her where to go, she'll do it. And as long as I do that, usually all right.
You told her where to go.
Now, Perry, this was not your first AKC Nationals win, if I'm correct, but this was Witt's first win. Am I correct on that?
Correct. I have a PNAC with Verb. Yeah.
Perfect. You won last year, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So back to back. So Verb winning the performance last year, and then Witt showing up this year and winning, and not only winning, but winning through the challengers round. So tell us a bit how that went and kind of the highs and lows of not running 3 clear in rounds 1 through 3, but knowing that you had a shot at the challengers, but then you had to win challengers, and then you had to do it again in finals. So tell us a bit what that was like.
All right. I feel weird, like including so much of the thing about my dog passing, but it feels so much part of it. So I'm just gonna use it because it was so many highs and lows. Like because AKC Nationals or any big event is always like crazy highs, crazy lows. Like just that's always how it goes. And so this one had other highs and lows and like a different perspective and all that. But the first day, like nothing had really happened at home. So I was kind of in just in regular agility mode. And like AKC Nationals is a mentally really, I mean, they're all hard, but it's a hard one because you really can't make any mistakes. And AKC, like Emily said, is one of our primary venues now, but I really do so much more ISC. And truthfully, I think in the last 6 months, I've done 1 day of regular AKC. And so me and my dogs are experienced in regular AKC, but we haven't been practicing it. And for him, it's just different. So like he knows, I feel like they're almost 2 different games and he knows them both really well. He's just been practicing the other one. And so I kind of was like, I was actually on the fence about going and like the puppies at home and Goose wasn't doing that well. And I decided to go and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go. I'm going to do my best. And we have the 2 warm-up rounds. And so hopefully by round 3 or by the 3rd run, which is round 1, he'll kind of be like, okay, we're doing this version, which he's fine at. He's perfectly good at, and I do know how to do it too. I just haven't done it in a while. So anyway, we screwed up the premiere because I was kind of just being lazy and not do it. Like I wasn't paying close enough attention to what time I was going, and I was late getting into the ring, and I was not winging it, but being lazy, and it didn't go great. He had a long jump mishap, and we didn't cue, and I was like, all right, well, that's still part of our warm up. And actually his warm up didn't go great either. And so I was like, all right, well, maybe by day 2, we'll get our focus together and start to concentrate and do it right. So then we went clean in round 1. And I was like, okay, we got the first one down. Like, let's see if we can do it. And then second round, it was a course with lots of pretty tight turns, and he's a big dog and he's going fast. And so it's one you have to be very precise. And it felt like a really hard course for us, like nothing super technical, but like front cross, make sure you cue the turn, get out of the way in time and all that. And he hit a bar. I was like, oh, this is so frustrating because, I came all the way here and I it's not my, I was trying to keep it like, agility is hard to keep in perspective. Like it's just a sport and it's just a game and you're going to do your best, but sometimes certain things almost feel out of your control, and then it's frustrating. So that was like the low of that day. And then I had to go back and go clean in the 3rd round, which is another course that I thought was harder for it's a lot of turns, and it's just a lot of really precise handling. Nothing, like I said, nothing crazy, but you have to be on it and you have to be precise. You have to have a good plan. You have to execute it perfectly. And he did it, and I was so relieved that finally, because I've never even made it to challengers. I think that was that was my 3rd time with Witt. And the first year he hit 2 bars. The second year, oh my God, last year was traumatic from an agility perspective because it's all, in perspective. But he was clean in the first round, hit the last bar in the second round. And it was such a good run. And then the 3rd round, I was like, all right, we got this, just got to go clean and hit the first bar. And I was like, so frustrating. So when I knew we made it to challengers, I was like, all right, well, goal achieved for me, really. It wasn't like a goal that I had said out loud in my head, but I wanted to make it to Sunday with either dog, but really wanted to do it with him because I haven't done it with him yet. So that was a huge relief. And then, then Sunday was when things started going bad at home with my dog, and it was kind of figuring out what was going on there. And did I have to go home and all that? And so it was weird. People probably thought it was crazy because I ran the challenge run with Verb, and he was clean, but he had a loop-de-loop turn, and he ended up getting second. And I came out of the ring and I was like crying. People probably like, ooh, it's just agility. Like, what's going on? But really, it was just emotion, like overload, not nothing, like not like, oh, I didn't make it or anything. It was just like I got through that, and now like a release of really, I don't know, stress, everything. And then I had to go again with Whit, and he actually, I felt like he really did kind of carry us on that run, because I mean, I had a good plan. I had already run the course with Verb, so I had a feel for it, but I don't know, it just put me in a different mental state. Like I was focused, but flatter. And maybe that's honestly good for him, because he is not one, like Verb was very much like, oh, you're losing your crap. I didn't notice. Like, I'm just doing agility, where Whit is like, oh, you're losing your crap. I think this is important. And maybe I'm going to get a little bit more excited or higher or whatever. And so maybe in a way it was good for him that I was like focused, but flat, like not as much, like, I don't know, it's just different. So it was very, I was like, wow, I'm very proud of this dog for being able to do it. And then it's kind of like, I mean, finals is always like icing on the cake. He made it there, and that was like huge. And so you go out there and you run, when you're doing challengers, you run early and you do your best, and then you sit there and you cross your fingers and like, just, I don't know, that was hard too, because Jess had to run, and like a lot of my friends were in the finals, and you're like, I did everything I can do, and now it's just universe and wait. So it was a lot, but it was, I don't know. I was proud of Whit. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah, no, you were great. So as you said, you ran kind of early in the order. I never can figure out how the AKC decides where to slot the challenge round winners. I kind of feel like they should put them somewhere in the middle, maybe, and maybe not quite so early, but you put down this amazing run. And I feel like that put a lot of pressure on the others. Everyone has that run now that they're shooting for. Like, there's no, let's play it safe and we're going to win with a safe run here. You have a running contact. So I think that's the first thing we need to say. And tell us, how old is Whit?
He's 5.5.
5.5 now. I mean, absolute in his prime. And actually, I was looking at the results just the other day, and I had this realization that your last name is DeWitt and the dog's name is Whit. Am I the first person to ever point that out to you?
I mean, I noticed, because that's why I named him Whit. I thought it was funny. Whit.
Oh, okay.
It was witty. And I don't know if it is or not. And I feel like a couple of people have noticed. Someone noticed recently, and I was like, it was some random person that was actually at Nationals, and they were like, oh, that's funny. And I was like, it's funny, right? Yeah. I mean, that's why I did it. I live for the Perry DeWitt and Whit moments. And it was even the best ever was at the EO when we made the finals. They pronounced it. They said Perry DeWitt, Whit. And I was like, okay, life complete. Now the name was like, that's what I wanted. Whit. So yeah, his name.
That is awesome. I never noticed. And now you can talk about, you can say witty and talk about witticisms. That's tremendous. I need to think about that the next time I'm naming a dog. Yeah. That's brilliant. So what was it like waiting for such a long period of time? Because I feel like you had to wait through something like 15 dogs to get to the end of that, at least, right?
Yeah, it was, I don't know. It was
like, what are you thinking? Are you one of those handlers that are like, you have to be really focused on the dog and keeping him entertained and not fixating on the other dogs? Or is he like super chill and laid back? You're not worried about him at all, and you watch every run? He's super chill. Like, he doesn't even know agility's going on. Mm-hmm. But I had treats, and so he was like interested in treats, and so then they're filming me, and I'm like didn't know if I should be entertaining the camera. So we were like, I was doing some tricks with them and kind of distracting myself with that. So we were kind of just playing and feeling awkward and just waiting. But he's so easy. I mean, he's like the calmest dude out there. Yeah, that is cool. I would not have guessed it. Whit is a dog that I don't think that I've really met or know at all. I am very sorry to hear about the news about Goose. We got our Goose and my old border collie Rook came from the same breeder. So I think that's how even I met you years and years ago. I have a dim recollection of meeting Perry in a parking lot somewhere sketchy, like in the back of a Safeway, to either talk about dogs or buy agility equipment or something. I can't remember any of the details at all, but our connection was we each had a border collie from the same breeder. And that's how I met Perry years and years ago. I don't know if you remember that.
Maybe vaguely. I think it's
Yeah, vaguely. We're like, yeah, it was something in a parking lot. It was sketchy. We were worried about the police. Okay, so having run in the 20 inches, you, Emily, ran in 16. Now, one thing we haven't mentioned yet is that the two of you are like working at the same place, living in the same area, training together. Can you tell us a little bit about that relationship so people can kind of figure out?
Sure. Yes. So about this time last year, probably about 12 or 13 months ago, I moved out this way from the Chicago area. I used to live in Rockford, Illinois. Finished my college degree and all that and was ready to face on the real world. And then Justin Perry came to me with an opportunity to work at their facility here at United Dog. And it was something I didn't feel like I could pass up. I mean, we've worked together for so long, and to have the opportunity to work with, two of the greatest agility instructors and handlers and trainers in the country, it just seemed like that was something that my degree could not get me. And so I decided to take the chance to come out here, and it's been great ever since.
Yeah, we love having Emily. It's amazing. Yeah, it's great. We get to train together, and probably not as much as we hope because we're all busy teaching and all that, but we get to do classes every week and do some private training and just talk about agility all the time, which is practically more valuable than actually doing it. So
yeah, we have puppies cool. together, so we can train our young dogs. So we have litter mates, the three of us. So that's always fun to train our dogs together.
We're very different, as litter mates always are.
That is
what our
so
listeners
awesome.
What our listeners can't see is like we're looking at you guys on the same screen, sharing the same mic, knowing that you guys train together. Right. And the listeners may not know that. I kind of forgot that they can't see it. So for anybody listening, that's why the communication is so flowing, is that they are actually together for this podcast, which makes things even more pleasant for all of us.
Yeah. One less minute to crash.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Because usually it's like Perry and Jessica. So, just for once, Jessica, the one time you didn't win nationals. So step aside, let other people be on the podcast, right? So given that you two are so close, you're both instructors at the same place, et cetera, was there communication on like the course, or are you guys just like each in your own zone and you have no interaction with the other and you're like, keep your opinions to yourself? I've got this set up for my dog. And did it impact you, Perry? Because she runs first, right? So 16-inch runs first. Did that impact you? Was it something you kind of had to manage in your head?
I don't think so. I think I was super proud of Emily. We do talk, like, and communicate and ask, we bounce ideas off each other and with Jess and anyone that we're friends with and close with at any competition. And Emily was saying how she was nervous because she has a dog that can do it and all she has to do is just do it. And I was like, just think of your plan and don't think of anything else. Don't try to push. Don't try to make her go faster. Just do what you've been doing. You've been winning everything. And so just focus on that and don't focus on anything else. I remember she was talking with somebody and I was like she was probably 5 dogs. I walked in between and I was like, think of your plan. Like stay on it.
In hindsight, that was obviously very good advice because there was other things so for the most part, except for when Perry walked by and she redirected me to what I was supposed to be doing, which was focusing. The whole 16-inch class, and honestly, a lot of the 12s, aside from like warming up my dog and the things that I needed to do for her, on the mental aspect of it, they told me just to go through the plan in my head and go through it so many times that it's like you've already run it before. And obviously, that's not only good to have you memorize your course and all that kind of stuff, but there was things that hit me afterwards that, like, if I wasn't thinking of that, I would have thought of, and it gets in your head like, oh my God, we're on TV. There's ESPN, there's cameras here. This dog made this mistake. There's so many things that can go on as you're kind of ready to run that I think might have gone through my head, and all of those kind of things can mess with you. So it wasn't just like thinking of what I needed to do, but thinking of, or not thinking of what I shouldn't be thinking of. And that kind of helped us focus too. And I think that was good advice that we were able to.
It's like training dogs. Do this, not don't do that.
Right.
Just think of this.
Right.
And
right.
I think you two were only like 2 dogs apart, because even though you guys were in different jump heights, Emily, you were the last seated dog in the 16-inch class. And then Perry, you ran as like the 3rd dog in the 20. So there really wasn't any really talking or communicating, I think, between your runs too much. We talked to Perry about you having to kind of run early and sit around and wait. Emily, what about you? You were seated first. You had placements in all of the rounds. You were the last 16 to run. I mean, was that better, worse? Would have you preferred to run early? Did you like having the advantage of running last, or did you feel more pressure?
It was definitely obviously a very opposite experience than what Perry had, where she was sitting there with dog after dog. I was watching dog after dog, or I guess thinking of my plan for dog after dog. And so I do think because of that since I didn't really watch anybody, it did take some of the pressure off. Being last seated, like when it happened, it made me a little uncomfortable because I feel like the first seed dog tends to have bad luck for whatever reason it is. Whenever I see these big events, like just whenever you see that last seed dog, I'm like, oh, that one's not going to win. Not necessarily all the time, but like that was just going through my head at the time. And I was like, oh crap. Right. The first day we did well. And I remember thinking, I'm like, oh God, usually when you start out good, it just kind of like tanks from there. So enjoy it now, I guess. But we just kept powering through it. And I just let the results play how they were going to play out, and just ran the course in front of me and ran my dog. And then, like Perry says, let the universe decide where it's going to lay out. And because that's all I can control. I can't control anybody else.
So you weren't aware at all of like which dog was clean in front of you, what the current leading time was. There was no calculating in your head. Hey, I think we can beat that time or not.
No, I had no idea what the time to beat was. I might have known it was Larry who was in the hot seat. So that might have been the extent what I know. But as far as how she ran or what the time was, I didn't really know.
Mm-hmm. And what were you doing like in your head when literally the dog that ran before you, like, what are you doing during that time? Like, what's your routine? That's basically like 30, 40 seconds right before you start walking up to the line.
I guess with that last minute, I'm probably focusing on the dog. I'm probably like making sure that she's, connected with me, that she's not, distracted or anything like that. I'm probably warming her up a little bit for the last seconds that I have, maybe doing one final look at the course, but I'm probably at that one dog before. I'm probably trying to gear up and just get ready to go in with her and try our best.
Gotcha. All right. And so Jenn, I know, so Jenn was also in the finals with 3 dogs. Also like Jess, apparently just taking the year off, no wins this year for Jenn. How did they do the walkthroughs for the regular height division? Was there just one for everybody, or did they do it split by heights?
They did one walkthrough for preferred and then ran preferred. And then they did the regular white dogs, then a walkthrough for the regular handlers, and then they ran the regular. So I believe we just had one 10-minute walk for all of the finalists. I actually don't 100% remember if there was a small dog and large dog. I thought it was just one 10-minute walk.
I don't remember either.
I think there was 2 walks.
Okay, maybe there was 2.
Okay.
But no, I do know that they did like preferred white dogs, preferred walk, preferred run,
sure.
And then regular white dogs, regular walk, regular run, which was nice for me because one of my dogs was in preferred and then 2 were in regular. So it kind of gave me a chance to like focus on Lucky and give him like his own walk, his own time. I didn't think about the other 2 when I was walking for him, so that I could kind of like get out of his mode and then switch over to the other 2. So I don't remember on the walks, to be honest, but I do know that the preferred and the regular were separate.
Okay. So before the walkthrough for Perry and Emily, how much discussion did you have with each other and with good old Coach Jessica? Like, did she have a lot to say, or was it like, hey, y'all know this? It's, you guys know best. I'm not going to give a lot of input, or was there a lot of discussion?
I'm trying to remember. I don't think we talked that much.
I don't think we analyzed it together quite as much, but I do think we all kind of ran through our plan and made sure no one was doing anything too like outlandish. I think that might have been the extent of that. I think if any of us had like any real dire questions, we would all be there to support each other. But I think for the most part, we kind of like knew our plan and knew how to execute it. It was just, making it
we didn't
happen.
actually, I don't remember that much. If we talked that much before.
I don't know. I don't think we did.
I don't think we talked that much before. We talked more after.
Okay. All right. Well, let me ask you then, what did you think of the actual course? We actually had Heather Dickinson, who designed the course, on for a webinar that we opened up to everyone, and also did like a 1-hour Q&A with our VIP members. talking about how she designed the course, what inspired her to put certain elements in the course, how the course evolved and all that sort of thing. When I looked at the course, I really, really liked it. Jen said she liked it as well. Sarah was there, running the before and after, supporting Jen. And she really liked the course. How did the two of you feel about the course? Like when you first saw the map, and how did it feel on the walkthrough? And then obviously after the run, you win. So that's going to be like, it's going to have a huge impact on how you think about the course. But just looking at it from a very analytical point of view, is kind of what you expected. Did it surprise you? Were you worried about it?
I'm trying to remember like my initial thoughts. I liked it. Of course, I always like a straight dog walk approach because those are much easier for my dog and more predictable for me to cue, or easier for me to cue, just have more experience with it. So even though I can theoretically have trained turns and all that, I'm always relieved to see a straight exit. And I also think it gives the advantage back to the running dog walk because I have a stop dog walk on Verb. So I was like, that was his challengers. I was like, well, if there's a turn off the dog walk, that'll be good for Verb and not good for Wit. But I remember thinking that, and then thinking that you're always thinking, is it a good course for you and for your dog? And I thought it was pretty good for us. Like the turns that were in the course, the two main turns, like the turn after the teeter and then the one at the end, or ones I felt confident queuing with him. Like there's certain turns that he's not great at, but those ones I felt we could do. So I liked it. I thought, you always think I always feel like the courses that you like are the ones you know how to do right away. Or the ones that you like your human nature is to be like, I don't like this course because I don't know how to do it. Or like, dog can't do that skill or whatever. So I felt comfortable with it from the beginning.
Yeah, it didn't seem too outlandish for what was being asked of us. There were some challenges to it that needed to be executed to be successful on the course. So the weep holes, I think, were somewhat of a challenge. You either had to handle the entry by crossing behind it or getting a blind cross and being out of the way enough that you're not blocking it. And they had to have a certain level of weep hole exit skill to be lateral. So there's like certain technical skills that were asked in the course, but kind of like what Perry said, after seeing it, I knew, it could be done. I guess like one thing I would have liked from a finals course is a finals course that maybe has a little bit more handling options. I felt like there was kind of only really like a couple set ways to really do it. So like when you're watching dog after dog, especially when it's being filmed, it's kind of nice to see like one handler go this way or try this cross here. And that one just kind of seemed like a lot of the handling choices was pretty consistent throughout everybody. Not that that's bad course design by any means, but when you're watching it with a one ring show, it can kind of be more entertaining when you see different ways of handling a course and seeing it be successful or not successful. And I think that's always a fun thing to analyze when there's course design. Kind of like I think the Premier run kind of gave an interesting flavor with that bi-directional tunnel. It encouraged you to either slice or wrap the jump, the obstacle before. And I think that was kind of creative to kind of see which people picked which route and how it affected their time or their ability to get them through that section.
Mm-hmm. Have either of you seen the broadcast?
No.
The broadcast of the final?
The judge?
Yeah. Well, so AKC TV, they haven't put it out yet, right, Jen? I don't think I missed it. It hasn't been edited and...
Oh, I think it might be on AKC TV. You're right.
No, I haven't.
Is it already? I know you can go back and watch the live stream. So have either of you gone on the live stream to at least like view your specific run? So that's a no from Perry. She's shaking her head.
I watched the 16 and I watched the 20-inch class. I need to watch the others though.
Okay, gotcha.
I watched it to prepare for today because I was like, what actually happened? Because I didn't watch it. And I was like, I should see how this went down.
Was it weird with seeing yourself on there and you're like, oh, this is kind of surreal. I'm watching watching myself run.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like, oh, there's my Vanish, my good little dog.
And how old is Vanish?
She's 6.
Oh, okay. 6. Wow. She is phenomenal.
Yeah, she's a special dog.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about the course.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Jump right in.
Well, it's like thinking of like the different handling options. There was a part that had handling option, that end piece. Like some of the small dogs turned left on that last jump before the tunnel. Yeah. And we all turned right. Am I saying that right? Most people turned right, which meant blind cross the exit of the tunnel and then front cross, or people were pulling into the tunnel. And I really thought when I looked at it that turning right was faster. And then Amber at the end, I remember watching her and watching her turn left and being like, oh no, like I love Amber. I'm rooting for her. And she had to stop on her dog walk. And I was like, no, you can't turn left. That's like, you can't do that. You need to get every inch. And then she won. And I was like, maybe it actually was faster to turn left, or maybe it was worth trying to do any time.
I'm going to take a look at that spot then. I'll take a look at that spot.
She had a very, very nice tight turn to the left. And like, if I compare it to my run with Jack, I too turned right thinking that turning to the right was like faster, but I didn't feel like I got it. Watching it back, I didn't feel like I got a super tight wrap to the right. And then I ended up pulling so far off the line to the left to make sure to get the correct into the tunnel. And he sort of like came with me and then went back. But I too sort of question, would it have been better to just get a really nice turn to the left and then be able to drive quicker into the tunnel versus the turn to the right, where then I felt like I was a bit hesitant going to the tunnel in an effort to make sure I got the correct into the tunnel. So
yeah,
I understand your perspective on that, Perry.
Yeah, I thought, because I had the same thing. Like I got collection and then I had to move left because that was just what the line you were queuing. And then they go with you left. That's just the nature of agility. Yep. And so, yeah, I would be interested in seeing that one.
That is super interesting. I'm going to take a look at that spot then. And what I'll do is I'll compare the, several sets of similarly speeded dogs and just take a look at their side by sides in through there. And then I guess I can put that out for the public as well. And I'll let you all know so we can look at that spot. That's pretty interesting. Yeah. All
right. Now I have a question, and this might be more for Perry because you've done a lot more AKC Nationals. Emily, I know you've had a break for a couple of years here, but there was a new format this year. So this year, the schedule was a little bit different for those that kind of don't know how that changed. They actually started a day earlier and did a warm-up run on Thursday, did the premiere or ISC on Friday morning. And then we started the actual National Agility Championship on Friday afternoon with round one being standard. So not only did we actually have an official run on Friday, where typically we have 2 rounds on Saturday and 1 on Sunday, but we started with standard, which then meant Saturday we had hybrid and jumpers. And then Sunday was just the finals. So Sunday morning was challengers, Sunday afternoon was finals. I think there was a lot of concern that with only finalists being on Sunday, that it'd be a bit of a ghost town, that people would leave if they didn't make finals and the stands would be empty. What are both of your guys' thoughts on that? Did you like the format? Would you like that again? Would you want to go back to the old format? And Esteban, feel free to throw in your opinion as kind of like a spectator from the outside. So Perry, I'll let you go first since you have something to compare it to what you thought of things.
I liked it. So the first thought I have is, I remember Jess saying I guess it was after, so we had, I'm trying to even remember. So we had standard and premiere, right? On that day?
Yes, on Friday. Yep.
So after your first 2 real runs, in the old format, after your, it used to be, you had, what was it? Standard and jumpers on the first day? Yeah. Or on the, and she was like, in this format, you can go to bed with hope. It doesn't matter if you bombed both your runs, you still have a chance, for the next day, especially if you're a dog that can go through challengers. But before it was well, we had a bar in each run and tomorrow's the hybrid and it, there's nothing you can do to fix it. So with this format, we went to bed, with Verb hit a bar, or no, what did he do? He did something weird. Verb tried to weave when I wanted to teeter in, I guess it wasn't that weird. But anyway, Verb had a fault in standard. And it didn't matter. He still could make finals. It was that first day of the main running, it didn't matter for us what happened. We still had a chance. So that was one thing that we liked. And I also I did make the finals and challengers on Sunday, but there is something somewhat nice. It's not nice. You want to make finals, but if you don't, you can just relax and cheer. And that's fun too. You can, get a drink if you like that and go in the stands and actually just have a relaxed day where you're cheering on your friends rather than having another day of stress, even though the stress is good stress. I liked it. That's my short version. I liked it.
The one thing I'll pop in here and say, having been in the finals last year and in the finals this year, with the format this year, you didn't have to be there as early on Sunday, even if you were in challengers. So even if you were in challengers, it was walk, I think at 9:00. So we had to walk at 9:00, which if you also then were in finals, you got a little extra sleep. And I felt fresher and finals started at 2. Last year, because they run all of hybrid in the morning and then still have to get challengers and then have to do finals, it's like 7 or 7:15 walks. So like you have to be there early. And then if you're in finals, like it's late. Like I remember like dogs were running at like 9 or 9:15 or something super late. I think last year finals, the AKC TV was like 7 to 9 p.m. last year, something. And I just remember being completely and utterly drained. Probably proven by my performance last year that I had like 5 dogs in the finals and 1 clean run, like 1 clean out of 5, which is a bit disappointing for me. And I think I just was completely fatigued, where if you're in finals, it is nice to be able to like come later and be a little bit refreshed. Like if you're in finals and not in challengers, which is what most people are, they don't even have to be there at 9 a.m. So they can really like be mentally sharp. They can get a good breakfast in, they can get a little sleep and walk the dog. So I do think it improves the performance of the finals. Now, I have absolutely no statistics in front of me with regard to the overall quantity of clean runs last year compared to the overall quantity of clean runs this year. But I feel like there were a lot more clean runs in finals this year. And I wonder if that didn't contribute to it. Last year, Lucky had a fault in finals and placed top 4. This year, he had for him a spectacular clean run and didn't even finish top 4. So like part of me feels like there were more clean runs this year. So so I think maybe like when we just look at the performance of the finals and the finalists, we got a lot better, more solid performances doing it with this format. So I do think that's another argument for this format. Yes, it means people have to be there earlier. And yes, it means a lot of people are leaving sooner. But, you know, they can then potentially drive home on Sunday if they're not on finals, or watch challengers and then leave and still get places by a reasonable hour. So Esteban, what did you think from like the spectating side? Did you have any thoughts?
Wow. Yeah, I think you just changed my mind on it, right? Going into it, when I first heard about the change, I was like, oh, you know, I don't think that's going to be very good. Like no one's going to stick around, but it turns out a fair amount of people did stick around, and AKC was very good about situating them in the stands so that on the stream, it looked quite packed, right? And it was, right? So yeah, so there were more people, I feel like, than there had been in previous years. So I think that was good. I don't know if that's something peculiar to Tulsa because of its geographic location or the design of the stadium, or how much credit we should give to this new format. But that was mostly my concern. The other concern being, I didn't want the AKC to start running into the issue that USDAA did, which is where you have so many days, things are so spread out, and the I guess the non-professional dog agility folks cannot miss that amount of work, right? You can't take that many days off in a given year and still expect to compete across several venues and go to all your favorite shows and get all the traveling done. And so I didn't want them to basically charge a chunk of their of the fancy an extra day. Say, hey, to be at AKC Nationals every year from now on, it's going to cost you an extra day off that you're already holding on to so tightly. And so I think that was my concern there. But having heard what Jennifer just said, I think that's so interesting, because I remember finals with the last dog I ran, which is Gitchy. So at ages 5, 6, 7, by the time it was like year 7 and year 8, like the day is so long. Like I remember just like within 30 minutes of her having to run, she was still sleeping. Like I felt like she was still in a recovery period. You know, I'm just like, okay, I just got to watch her sleep, like just resist the urge to get her up and start warming her up. You know, she needs all the rest she can get. Yeah, it's hard on the dogs. It's hard on the handler. And I think Jen won the argument when she said that I could sleep in. So I think as soon as you pointed that out, and I wouldn't be waking up before 6 a.m. or whatever, I was like, okay, no, this is the winning move right here.
That was my motivation to not be in challengers, is that then I could sleep a little extra. It did not work out for me that way, but I was like, if I can be clear, I don't have to be up early on Sunday.
The other thing is, like you don't, because they have Premier and ISC, you don't need, like that can serve as a warm up. Like, of course that is a real run and there's motivation to do well in that. But if you couldn't take off work, you still could come the day of the actual competition and theoretically get a warm up or a pre-NAC run. So there is that option at least too. If somebody,
I like it. Yeah, I like it. Does anyone know where AKC Nationals? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Emily.
And I was just going to point out, and being able to leave a day earlier, if so desired, if you didn't end up making challengers or finals, Before that wasn't really an option if you had hybrid in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, that's really good too, right? 1,200 competitors, less than 100 are going to make the finals and the challenge round. So the vast majority of people, if they need to be somewhere to work, they don't have to take that Monday. So I think that's a pretty good point right there. Does anyone know where AKC Nationals is going to be next year? Have they made that announcement yet?
I have not seen an official announcement. I was hearing rumblings and gossiping
Rumors.
While we were at Nationals.
Conjecture.
That it was, I'll just say it, the rumor on the record was Perry, Georgia. To me, that makes logical sense. So I felt like that was a pretty good choice, but it is not anything that I have seen in writing as far as an official announcement. The only thing that they've announced is what it takes to qualify for next year.
Gotcha. And so, Perry and Emily, do you all plan on being back and defending at next year's Nationals with these dogs? Or it's like,
I was not going to go back next year because like I said, I've been doing more ISC and that's really kind of my main thing. And because we've had to do regular AKC in the past to qualify for tryouts and stuff, I've qualified for Nationals at the same time. And I enjoy it. So I go, but I was like, that's not going to happen again because it's just the format's changed now. But now that I don't have to qualify, actually the funniest thing was I'm like, well, now I have to qualify Jenny because if I'm going to go with Whit, I'm not going to not take my young dog. So I do think we're going to go back and we'll see if we can fit it in our schedule to qualify because I do want to I like to have two, at least Jen probably understands this because she has like 8 dogs, but I don't like to compete at NAC with one dog because I like to have 2 chances because of the format. It's really hard to make finals and it's fun to have a dog now I'll just say on Sunday, but so that's what I'm going to try now. So try to get, because I think this is going to be Verb's last one. Because I don't think I want to campaign him all year to qualify again. So since Whit doesn't have to, I'm going to try with Jenny and see if we can do that.
And for those that aren't familiar with the rule, what Perry's referring to is that when you win Nationals, part of your award is that you are guaranteed entry into the next year's Nationals without having to qualify. So a lot of people may not know that rule. So Vanish and Whit are automatically qualified. So they could go all year without doing any AKC. They don't need the points. They don't need the double Qs, and they are eligible for next year's National. So yeah, you guys could basically go 365 days without ever doing like regular AKC standard and jumpers runs and get to go to Nationals, which is a great perk. I know Betsy Lynch last year won, and she would not have qualified for this year's if she had done it the regular way. She actually entered and got a note from Steve and says, by our records, you did not qualify. You're not eligible for entry. And she had to write in and go, by the way, I won last year. I get my entry in. So it's definitely a nice perk that now you don't have to go running around and do maybe runs that you wouldn't otherwise want to do with Whit and Vanish to qualify. So in thinking about going forward, I know both of you have multiple trips, exciting events planned. So tell us a little bit about what you have going on the rest of this year. If I recall, you're both on the WAO team?
Yes.
Both on the EO team?
Yes. Correct.
So lots of trips. And then will you guys both be trying out for the AWC team?
Yes, we're crazy people.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you have all of those events.
Actually, all 3 events happen. I guess I'll cross that bridge when we get there.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, I thought last year was a lot of stuff, but then there's just more things being added to it. So we have like Westminster around the corner, the Premier Cup that some of the finalists got invited to. So we're going to that, and then the other events throughout the year, like the US Open and EO tryouts and all that kind of stuff is always on the.
But first the EO.
WAO first.
So far ahead. Yeah. First WAO. That'll be in May, and then the EO in July.
Well, Westminster first, right? Westminster, then WAO. Yes.
Yeah.
Tryouts.
Westminster, WAO, and
EO?
then a small break, and then EO. Yeah.
What height does Vanish jump internationally?
She's a 20-inch intermediate dog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was definitely a big perk when they added that last year because she's 18 inches tall and she did 24 inches at EL the year, last year in 2022. And she's a small dog and she a couple of years ago had like a shoulder injury. So it made me not super comfortable to do it with her, at least not full time. So we did EO last year. I was like, oh, this is going to be our last one because I can't, make her do that again. And she obviously was totally fine from it. But as she gets older, I just always want to look at their longevity. And now that they added 20 inches, it, has really helped us keep with the FCI and try out stuff that we wouldn't normally be able to do because of the jump height. So we're very thankful that FCI added that 20 inches in because it's keeping us going.
Nice. Are you going to be doing Westminster as well?
We are. We actually got in, funny enough, not from having a mock like how most people have to get in, but since we won the Incredible Dog Challenge finals last year, since it's run through Purina, Westminster, and the Incredible Dog Challenge, we got an invite before entries open that we were eligible to enter and that we get to enter before everybody else does and got to bypass the championship title requirement, which we are working on, but don't quite have yet. So we do get to go and we're very excited about that.
Oh, nice. Nice. And then Perry, who are you going to be running at Westminster?
I'm going to do Wit and Verb. I think it's going to be Verb's. I don't do official retirement, but it'll be his last big event.
Possibly. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like both Emily and Perry, you guys have a very exciting year ahead of you, and we look forward to many more amazing results, just like we have at this year's Nationals. So once again, congratulations on those wins.
Thank you so much.
We'd also like to congratulate the additional winners from this year's National, the preferred finals winner, Antonio Ritelli in Zoom, Paboon and Supa V with the Poodle Alina, Karina and Border Collie Jax, Mia Grant with her Border Collie Rich, and our preferred 20-inch winner, Haley Mack and her All-American Strider. Our regular class winners in the 8-inch category were Andrea Samuels and Papillon Gabby. Our 12-inch winner, Cynthia Horner with her All-American Nimble. Our 16-inch winner and guest today, Emily Klarman and Border Collie Vanish. Our 20-inch winner, our second guest, Perry DeWitt and Border Collie Wit. Our 24-inch winner was Steve Basson and Weimaraner Hogan. And the 24C winner, Amber McCune and Border Collie Typo. Congratulations to all the winners and great performances at this year's National Championship.
And that's it for this week's podcast. We'd like to thank our sponsor, hititboard.com. Happy training.
Thank you for listening to Bad Dog Agility. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information, updates, and links to all our socials, just check out our website, www.baddogagility.com. If you haven't already signed up for our email subscription, we would love to have you join the BDA community. Until next time, take care.